Oh, family, 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 family. Good morning. Hello. I am so late. I am rolling in here. Rolling in here. So late. Mary Lynn just sent me a message. She said, "I can't find you." That's because I wasn't on the internet. I wasn't here. Having some tech issues, y'all, this morning. Tech issues, but I'm learned something new every day. I still can't hear. I can't hear my audio, so I'm just hoping y'all can hear me. Let me know in the comments if everything looks good on your end. But we are here. We're awake. It's Wednesday. All week long, I've been thinking that it was Wednesday. Monday, I thought it was Wednesday. Yesterday, I thought it was Wednesday. But today, I think it's Wednesday. I'm ready for it. So, good morning, my friends. We have our quote this morning. It is Wednesday, September 27th. This comes from Charles Camp. Charles Camp. All right. It says, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. Y'all hearing me? Are you awake? Are y'all awake? Are you alive? Are you here? Let's say that again. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. And I definitely love that last part, because if they're making an impact without your presence there, y'all, that's the end game. It also takes a lot of ego, out of the equation, because if you pour into somebody and they're doing good work without you there, you ain't getting the credit, right? That means we have a vision for something bigger than ourselves. I absolutely love that quote, Charles Camp. And you know what else I love? I love being here with you on this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Rise and Grind Live. Unlock your full potential with the power of daily motivation, education, inspiration with your host, Glenn Lundy, a husband to one, father to 8, global motivational speaker, and the author of The Morning Five.
I'm Heather Parody, former therapist turned online entrepreneur and wannabe comedian.
Celebrity interviews, transformational information, and a massive community around the #1 morning show in the world. It's 5:30 a.m.
What's going on, y'all? Listen, I can't hear a thing. I cannot hear a thing, but it was between not hearing a thing and not going live, and I just chose to go live and just trust and believe the process, that you can hear me okay. These videos you can hear all right. And you know what? I get to be here with y'all. So it's all good. It is all good. My name is Heather Parody. I am filling in for our incredible leader, the host of this show, Glenn Lundy, as he spends some precious time with I cannot get over how beautiful this girl is. Look at that view. Look at that view. They are in Italy celebrating a wedding and just spending some awesome father-daughter time together. And I get the privilege of getting to be here with you guys all week long. Man, after this show is over, I am I'm literally packing my bag and leaving. Anybody else on a trip not pack until you absolutely have to? I'm one of those people. I need to be on the road about 20 minutes after this show's over and your girl hasn't packed yet. It drives my husband absolutely crazy. Are you one of those people who packs early and you're prepared, or are you like me and you're grabbing your backpack and you're throwing stuff in it? I'm heading to Orlando, Florida, for a conference by this dude named Russell Brunson, Funnel Hacking Live. Have you ever heard of it? Do you know who I'm talking about? I'm really excited to get to be there just for about 24 hours. Then I head back home and we'll be here. Well, I'll be here Thursday. I'm just going to be in a hotel Friday morning with you guys as we interview. I've been hyping this guy all week long. The Tidy Dad, almost 500,000 followers over on Instagram doing content like this.
Time for a game of Tidy Dads. Pretty, but is it practical? This is missing the lid. This, we filled it, never used it. These, I don't know. What are these even used for? This is valuable real estate. It's It's time
Ooh,
for
y'all know we're going to have a good time. Y'all know we're going to have a good time with Tyler. So make sure you're here Friday morning if you have not experienced one of our live interviews. I think it's a really cool experience, not only for us to meet new people, but also for the guests to be able to experience our live audience. Whenever I'm talking about this show, I'm like, y'all don't know what it's like. People are actually commenting back and forth with each other and building relationships. It's such a cool community. So make sure you are here Friday, 5:30 a.m. I'm going to be here tomorrow too. I mean, don't skip that. Don't skip that. This week we are talking about this little book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you are my daughter, you think it's affected people. No, you ain't affected with anything. I hope not. Highly effective people. And it is by this dude named Stephen Covey. Now, Stephen Covey passed away, I believe, where is it? I have it here. Just not too long ago, like 15 years ago, something like that. And I've been digging into his life a little bit to try to understand where these 7 habits have come from. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind. I'm repeating this out loud for the clubhousers in the back. Put first things first. Think win-win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Synergize and sharpen the saw. Where did these habits really come from? And what I was learning about him, and I was digging a little bit into his life, is he was heavily influenced. His work was heavily influenced by this dude named Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers. He was a psychotherapist who has his own theory in psychology, where it's a very human-centered approach to therapy. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this because I'll geek out with y'all, but I thought it was interesting learning about Stephen Covey. He not only was he influenced by a psychologist who has a human-centered approach, but also he was heavily influenced by Church of Latter-day Saints and their values and their morals. A very religious, a very spiritual man. And when you understand that side to him, these habits make a little bit more sense. Because when you're coming from the worldview that there's something bigger than us, when you're coming from the worldview that we need to be human-centered in our approach, it makes so much more sense why he chose these 7 habits of highly effective people. This morning, we're going to be talking about one that makes me angry. Makes me uncomfortable. Not angry. I think that's a little dramatic, Heather. Uncomfortable. That's a word. Fidgety. Seek first to understand, then be understood. Oh my God. Lord Jesus. How's that make y'all feel? How's that make y'all feel? I know Rodney Hatfield don't mind. He's always seeking to understand in his line of work. That man is a good listener, right? I mean, it makes me uncomfortable because I got a lot of ego in me. You know, I want to be right. I want to be heard. Lord Jesus. Check this out.
If you really want to be understood, then you have to seek first to understand. What I'm saying is not new, but it is profound to me. I learned it in Stephen Covey's class about 25 years ago, and I've been trying to practice it, and I think it is crystallizing for me even more. Because sometimes you need a refreshing, you know what I mean, of the things that you've learned, because this world will try to pull you back in to your old ways. But seeking first to understand disarms people, and not in a way that makes them vulnerable so you can attack, but in a way that allows them to hear you because it builds trust. So when you're trying to get someone to understand you and you're having difficulty, stop and try to understand where they're coming from. What is it that they're seeking? How do they need to be understood? And in that space, they can now hear us. Again, it sounds so simple, but it is. Otherwise, everybody's trying to get their agenda on the table. We have to first try to understand, what is it that the other person is expecting? What are their points of pain? What is it that they mean? Where are they standing? How do they see it? And then once we do that, then the way we present the thing that we're trying to be understood on can be in a way that they can actually hear us. But I think the ego is what helps, is what keeps us jumping in front to say, no, hear me, understand me. Dial that down for a second. Seek first to understand where the other person is coming from, and then you will, I shouldn't say you will absolutely, because it doesn't happen all the time, but many of the times, much of the time, many times, okay, you know what I mean? You will be understood, again, because that person's not feeling defensive and like they have to protect themselves from you, because you sought first to understand where they were coming from and not just to push your agenda and your understanding on them. That's it. That's all. That's the share.
I like how she's like, that's it. I'm out. Listening to understand. That's what we're talking about this beautiful morning. Oh, folks, but it's time. It's time. It is time for the best part of the show, where we get an opportunity to do three things, y'all. First of all, and most importantly, I feel guilty. It's not the most important thing. I think the most important thing is you say hello to one another. That's the most important thing, because we got to love on each other. You got to hug your friend. You got to do a virtual hug. You got to do a virtual high five, right? That's the most important thing. But I'll tell you what's a close second. I'll tell you what is a close second. Moving a little bit. Moving a little bit. What's this music? You know, Glenn's playing with his musical choices. This is my jam. I could listen to Connor Price all day long, because I do. Listen, this is the part of the show. We're going to dance. We're going to say good morning to one another. And I forgot to say this yesterday, and I learned that if you don't say it, there's an effect. It's amazing. We share it out. We share it out to our communities. It helps so much. This show grow, this show reach more people who need this community, who need to shift the way that they start their day. So thank you so much for just hitting that share button, inviting a friend, tagging some folks. Whew. All right, let me move a little bit. I can't even hear the music, but I don't need to hear the music. I got music in my soul. I got music in my bones. I'm probably totally off beat. But you know what? Here's the deal. If I was hearing the music, I wouldn't be on beat anyway. So it's all good. It is all good. It is so good to see you, Lisa Cook. Rodney, thank you so much for that message. Rodney sent me a message yesterday, and it literally made my day. Thank you so much for being here. Aiden, it is so good to see you. I know we got Vicky Everett in the house. Come on, these comments. Where are they? Let me move over to Clubhouse. I know we got Mary Lynn. Thank you, Mary Lynn, so much for your help this morning and every morning and just in life in general. You're an incredible human being. I know I saw Pastor Jeff at one point. I'm pulling this up, y'all. I'm pulling this up. Oh my gosh. Dora Marie, TM, Renee, it's good to see you. Tosh, Jacqueline, Andy, Tori, William, Ramona, Nina, Kimberly. Oh my goodness, you just keep scrolling and scrolling. Oh goodness, Veronica, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me dance a little bit more. Let me dance. Let me move a little bit more. I need to get it out. I need to get it on my bones. All right. This is, my friends, Seeking to Understand this morning. Let's go.
Democrat. I think most people ask questions in order to either agree or disagree with what comes out the other person's mouth. Yeah. But we ask our best questions when we simply ask to learn and infer. And so now it's not asking to see whether we are on the same page. You're just asking to know. Because I think what we often do is we ask a question, and even if the base answer kind of sounds similar, we go, oh, we're on the same page. Like, oh, me and you, we're like, we have the same values. And it's like, well, no, we don't. We just haven't dug deep enough. And I think we're often not patient. And I think that's why in so many relationships in our lives and everywhere, what you said a friend is someone who I know how they'd be in most situations.
Yes.
And I think when you quickly go, oh yeah, we have the same values, we have the same belief system, that's often incorrect because we just haven't asked enough questions to infer because we really want to feel. Does that hit in there?
Yeah. Yeah, that does actually.
I feel like that when you ask questions, and so I'm throwing that back at you, saying when you ask questions, I'm like...
So going back to what we were talking about being an outsider, being an insider, where do I find home, where do I find familiarity? You are familiar with this to a certain degree because of moving out of the UK, going to India, going on that journey, and then moving from there and then coming to America. It's another... One thing that happens to you when you leave home is that you have to then either find home or you have to understand why this is home, or you have to become comfortable in a new space so that it will be your new home. And the best way to do that is by understanding, is what I find. Oftentimes you aren't forced to understand if you are in the majority. If the norm is your world, you're fine.
Yeah.
If everyone has your accent, well, then you don't need to understand another accent.
Yes.
If everybody is your skin color, you don't need to understand another skin color. If everybody's your culture, if everybody is your language, if everybody's your, socioeconomic class, whatever it may be, then you don't need to understand. And so what I've grown up with, because I grew up with a black woman, Xhosa woman being my mother, white man, Swiss man being my father, family mixed, country, broken up, separated because of class, because of race predominantly, I found myself often having to understand whatever it was, language, culture, music, food, idea, I have to understand. And what I found is that is often the fastest path to home, is just understanding. A hammock is a terrible bed unless you understand how to sleep in it. And I think the same goes for everyone and everything. A foreign country doesn't feel like home until you understand the language. And then all of a sudden things start to work.
Yeah.
So when I ask a question of you as Jay, I genuinely do it to understand, because with you, I agree, and I'm genuinely trying to understand more because
I know,
the things I may disagree with, funny enough, more is like how I'm living my life, and I'm trying to understand more about like how you see, and then how do I, it's not to agree or disagree, but more to like, I need to understand this more. And then sometimes it'll be with people where I don't agree with them, so I want to understand.
Yeah.
I see the world, and it seems so clear to me. Can you explain why you don't see what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
That's oftentimes what plagues me as a person is I think we live in a world now where there are fewer and fewer experiences that we all relate to or that we've all gone through. And so while that's great for individualism and it's great for us, living in our own niche, it has robbed us of a collective understanding. And so whether it's in politics or whether it's in society, whatever it is, I think it's healthy to disagree.
Yeah, so
say
do
like,
I.
Jay, I don't think that's that. But it's another thing to say, that's my parking. No, that's my parking. Versus, that's my parking. What parking? Wait, you don't see a parking? Well, now we're in a bigger, and that's why I feel like society is moving towards, as everything, entertainment, social media, all these things become more niche. I think we're losing that collective space to be in. And so, because I've always been outside, because I've never been part of, I've always been forced to understand. Why do you do that? Why do you say that? How do you eat this? So when I'm in India and I'm eating and I go, okay, can you help me understand why you use your hand the way you do? What are you trying to, okay, great. Chopsticks for the first time I have to, all these things as opposed to assuming or even not being willing to. And so maybe that's why I ask a question the way I do, is because I just don't understand why you see the world the way you do. And once I do, I now get to hold two truths. I get to see how you see the world. I get to know how I see the world. And I may augment my way of seeing it, or I'll be able to help you understand why I see it the way I do because I now understand yours. I don't think I can do that if I don't ask.
Absolutely. One thing.
Ooh, how about that, y'all? How about that? What's interesting about what they were talking about, and it just came up for me. I've seen this video several times, but we've curated lives where we don't have to understand or seek to understand, right? With our algorithms, with so many choices. Thank goodness for choices, and thank goodness for algorithms, because your girl don't want to be seeing like Fortnite stuff. Like, I don't want to see that. I love algorithms. I love our choices. I'm so grateful for everything that is available to us. But the dark of that is that we've curated lives where we don't have to seek to understand very often. We can just put things in categories, and there's this sense of separation of us and them. And it becomes so dangerous, not only because it limits the people who are in front of us and their potential and what, we could do to influence them or love them or support them, but also ourselves, because maybe we are the ones who need a little bit of that impact, support, changing. Heaven forbid, right? Maybe we're the ones who need that. I love that he said the fastest path to home is understanding. The fastest path to home is understanding. And when he said that, I thought, we're not enemies. Rodney, I'm going to pick on you, Rodney, because I know I can. Rodney can be the crunchy Cheeto man. I don't understand people who love crunchy Cheetos. Like, you talk about seeking to understand. I don't understand that, because it's puffy Cheetos all the way. Anybody else? I completely forgot where I was going with that. I got so upset about the Cheetos. I know, Rodney could be the crunchy Cheeto man, right? And me and him can sit here and argue about something that we feel like is so important, right? And sometimes these things are so important that we argue about and we fight about. But then we have got caught into an illusion that we're on different teams as opposed to one team. And if we go back into faith and scripture, that the Christian faith, that Jesus came here for all, right? And that God's heart is for humanity, not one side of the river versus the other side, not these group of people who look like this or these group of people who believe like that, but all of us. The fastest path to home is understanding. And home, my friends, is here with each other, right? The categories and boxes, I'm really passionate about this lately because, well, scroll through social media. There's that. But also, too, I know I've identified so many prejudice in my life that I've had towards certain people. And I told y'all a couple of days ago, I don't think we could ever fully say we don't have a prejudice in us. That is super unself-aware, because through the way we were brought up, through our experience, and it could be a prejudice towards, I've had to really work on my mindset about people who have a lot of wealth because of the way that I grew up and the stories that I heard. I had this narrative in my head about people who have wealth are like this. That's a prejudice I've had that I've had to really identify and work on. But it's kept me safe, because keeping people in boxes, right? It creates this sense of safety of us and them, and then we can fight for our cause. I know I'm getting a little deep here and we're about to wrap up, y'all. But this sense of home is really what I wanted to nail down, is because when I do that, I'm actually robbing myself. It's not hurting them, right? Me not understanding this people group, me judging, me having a prejudice towards it isn't harming them. It's harming myself. It's robbing me of the experience of getting to really know someone, to learn from their expertise, their experience, and for me to not feel that sense of home and peace, right? Seeking to understand, then be understood. I think one could argue, and I think Stephen does in his book, that you can't really be understood until you first understand someone, because someone can feel if you're listening or not. Anybody in the back, right? Y'all listen. It is 6 o'clock. I might not start on time because of tech, but I promise you I will end on time. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be right on time. I'm going to get nice audio stuff figured out. I'm going to learn and grow from this experience. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me this morning. Thank you for being here with each other. When this mic is off and when you go out into your life in this world, the messages you send back and forth to each other and the community you build, that's why we're here. This is just the starting ground, the starting point. But this community continues throughout the day. So if somebody's name pops up in your head, it's popping up in your head for a reason. Send them a quick message, send them a text. It could completely make their day. I love you guys so much. We're going to bob out of here with some Connor. Even though I can't hear it, I don't mind moving. I don't mind dancing. Right? Is it playing? Lord Jesus, I hope it is. There it is. There it is.
When's the last time you
have the very best Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
But I'm paid, I don't even gotta touch it. If I'm staying quiet, then you know I'm up to something. Yellow tail on the black card, cause I ain't buzzing. And I know it stings when you see me out in public. Always call me cousin, I am not your cousin. Used to say I didn't care for dollar signs. Now I pay my mortgage out for Spotify. Yeah, whoa, asking for a feature, I don't got the time. Plus I heard the song and honestly I'm overqualified. And I got some people in my corner that's gonna ride for me. I got a woman by my side who really died for me. I got the labels on the line, they want the pie from me. But I ain't splitting nothing with them, you ain't signing me. Okay, go, come and get it, I'm running with it. And ain't no looking back. Tunnel vision to 100 million is sitting in my lap. Hunger hitting, I'm done with sitting, I gotta get to bat. Everything that I pitch is a hit, I don't ever slack.
When that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Used to being late to moments, so I ISO. Had to plant a seed for them to see they had their eyes closed. Guess I should have focused on the high notes. All of that embellishing probably get you somewhere where you from. City jumping for the moment till you